You are in for a treat today. This is my full interview with the legendary John McAfee, person I consider the most interesting man on the world. If you follow him on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. But we get into what motivates him, what gets him up out of bed every day, what drives him. Absolutely fantastic. We dive deep. Here's my full interview with the legendary John McAfee. You know, are you banned from Facebook? Because I'm trying to post this thing on Facebook, and they're like, "Oh no, you can't post this on Facebook."
Yeah, I get that a lot. No, I've got a Facebook account actually. I think I don't go on Facebook personally. I have people who run my Facebook account.
Yeah.
But I've heard nothing from them. But I've heard many people, who podcasters who've tried to post on Facebook and they've denied it.
Yeah, I'm supposedly it's going live. I'm going to put this on YouTube as well after the fact, but
This is going live on Facebook.
Well, I was going to go. It is live on Facebook apparently, but I was trying to share it, and any sort of sharing with your name was like, oh no.
I know you can't do that. Isn't that strange? Isn't that strange?
It's so interesting, but
and Twitter has crippled my account in very subtle ways. Nothing overt, nothing that I could even point to, but being a computer technologist, that's all I've ever done. A software engineer, I can tell by the way my stuff is acting. Sudden disappearances of followers who are always going, somebody unfollowed me. It wasn't me. I didn't even notice it until I stopped getting notifications, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not a popular person. I apologize. And probably you'll lose half of your subscribers as soon as this airs.
Well, it seems like a fair trade to me, man. To talk to you is truly an honor as someone who's leans towards the libertarian bend. I do appreciate what the message that you spread out there or trying to spread. And you obviously are meeting walls at every corner. I mean, are you working at this time? Are you working for legacy right now? Is that what motivates you to get up and do this stuff every day?
Yeah, well, yes, I've for my children, of course, and your children, everybody's children, and grandchildren, and on and on.
Yeah.
I'm at the age where, what can I possibly do or make of my life that makes any more sense than making a better world than the one I came into, or at least working in that direction. And so, that's what I'm doing.
Good for you, man. Dude, I do appreciate that. And that is, it's funny when you talk to people, and obviously you talk to people all day long, but when I try to talk about this sort of stuff, about the idea of the individual having control of their life, people get very scared. It's very interesting. I literally was talking to my mother yesterday about interviewing you, and the idea of government without control was actually, I could tell was terrifying to her. What do you say to the masses who truly believe that the governments are the ones who almost make things happen? I personally believe individuals make things happen. Governments prevent individuals from making things happen.
The fear that people have is the fear of what if you take responsibility for yourself, and if you have half a brain and at least one hand with an opposable thumb and finger, you're going to get by in this world. You know that, I know that. And if you're regular, there is nothing to fear if you take responsibility. Meaning that, hey, I need to be cautious in everything that I do.
Right.
Every word I say, every face I look at, every friend I make.
Yeah.
It makes you very attentive to the other person, to the other situation, to the things out there around you, rather than worrying about me, the world's about me. Suddenly the world is not really about you at all.
Right.
You're taking responsibility, meaning, whoa, I have to bear my way in here. Meaning I have to do it here as well as with the body. No one's going to do this for me. And when I allow someone to convince me that they will, I lose even more.
Yeah.
Until ultimately I have no power whatsoever because I have nothing but fear.
It's interesting. Exactly. I was trying to explain this in a way, it's just hard to explain, but I said, hey, look, the role I see of government is to protect one individual from another. That's the role that the proper role that government or big brother,
Absolutely.
which is to protect me from you and you from me. And if you steal my stuff, big brother can come in and give it back. Right.
Right.
That's the ideal role. And what we've done is we've let that grow. I mean, they grow
areas where it's no longer two individuals. It's
exactly.
Oh, well, this is a bad product.
Exactly.
And you are bad people, and I must protect the good people from the bad people. So suddenly it's no longer we have an individual problem here. This guy punched me in the nose and threatened to shoot me. Right. Send over a peace officer. And that's what the fuck they really are in a true government. Do you view police today as peaceful people doing nothing but peaceful work? Well, a true police officer does that. His job is, oh God, people, we got a clash here. Let's go and resolve that clash.
Right.
Not a potential clash. There's going to be a potential clash here between this bad product and people who 1/10 of a millionth of a percent are going to get cancer. And
yep.
Hey, do your own research, people.
Yep.
If you can't decide what to eat what your mother fed you, because you survived this far on that, keep it up. So these are trivial things that people with any common sense would know how to do.
Yep.
And yet governments do not give us the credit
yep.
For being able to be responsible for ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we can't be responsible for ourselves, then we will have to have this government forever. Do you see this catch-22?
Yeah. It's interesting. When I talk to people who are smart, people who are, educated, they believe, for example, we have a cosmetic company here in Costa Rica. We sell bath products, soaps and stuff, right? The legality of getting a soap registered in Costa Rica is so burdensome. It's thousands of dollars. It takes 6 months to do. For what? Soap has never killed anybody, right? But when I explain this to people, like in the States, I've explained this to people in the States, they believe the FDA in the States is protecting them from bad soap manufacturers. And I'm like, no, they don't protect anybody. They inspect no soap. They do nothing to protect you. It's this idea that they're protecting you. And the idea is solid. Like the government has sold, at least in the US, the government has sold this idea that they are protecting people, when the reality is, at best, they come in after the fact and, put people in jail at best or sue people.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you chose soap, by the way, because I actually did research. Listen, I get bored sometimes in my life. And I hired some kids to do some research, and I discovered that soap is the #1 factor in the rise of divorce rates in America. No, you're laughing. It only takes me 30 seconds to explain.
I thought that was only in my house where we make the soap and my wife and I battle all the time.
No. It's in anybody's house who uses soap, and here's why.
So tell me.
Because the human mating, the ritual of reproduction, is the most important of all of our genetic makeup.
Okay.
And our genes over the millennium have developed a system of pheromones. Sure. These actually exist. And receptors, pheromone receptors in the nasal passages, which have only one function: to identify a potential mate. And it's the way genes communicate.
Sure.
And if your pheromone and these pheromones go, whoa, fuck, if we mate, we're going to have a 3-armed monster. And suddenly you're not attracted to that person. That's how it works. Ooh. The pheromones run your entire limbic and
sure.
sexual system. So now, unfortunately, it takes about a month for pheromones which are secreted to actually reach the stage through oxidation where they will waft through the air and can be detected.
Okay.
Right? If you bathe once a month, or at least twice a month, you have no pheromones to communicate to your potential partner in which you will have many progeny.
Sure, sure, sure.
That part. So what are we left with? The stupid shit. Oh,
Is that why
feeling.
stinky dudes always get the chicks? Is that right?
Yes. Yes. Do you understand? Because the stinky dudes are the only real men that women have ever smelled. They've never smelled a pheromone before, and suddenly their body goes, whoa, mate with him.
Wow, man.
I don't care if it's a
crazy.
3-arm thing. I can spot it as at least the opposite sex.
No wonder my business is only mildly successful, John. If I change the
know,
soaps to make you
but-
more stinky, then we got something, John.
Well, no. But listen, I'll tell you something. So after that, I did develop a product that can be added to soap.
Well, see, now that makes sense.
Get you completely clean.
Right.
With one exception. It doesn't touch pheromones.
There you go.
I'm waiting for the right time to introduce that to the world. You know, I'm going to publish a whole paper. I did the research, and how I found out is because I got statistics on all the soap manufacturers in America and the American population, and calculated exactly how much at each, period of time each person might be using of soap, or how many people might be.
Yep.
And found an almost direct correlation to the consumption of soap. I don't mean eating it, buying it, using it. And 7.3 years later, an identical correlation in the fucking divorce rates. I'm just telling you.
Fuck, I love this stuff, man. I love science, man. I love it.
Well, see, I investigate those branches of science where no one else is. Otherwise, people have been there before.
Sure.
Why bother going down a path that has been trod by someone else?
100%, man.
Nonsense.
It's nonsense, man.
I knew no one was stupid or crazy enough to have that as a project, and I spent about $160,000 on that research to get that correlation.
Well, hey, dude, when you're ready to, come on, man, let's do it. You ready to start, man?
Oh,
we can get this going right now, man.
I thought we had. Oh my God. Well, no, I have plenty of time. Okay. So yeah, let's get this started. I thought you were recording.
No. I'm saying the soap company, John. You and I partnering up. Let's do this, man.
Oh,
come on, man.
Listen, no, please, God, that sounds like work. Which is why I have never done it. I'm thinking, do you realize how much work this is going to be?
Come on, man. No,
if we can do it without doing any work, let's do it, man.
Well, that is an issue. How do you I see you're building your distributed exchange. Obviously, that's a massive amount of effort. Obviously, maybe you're not doing the work, right? You have a team. How do you manage? Like, you're on the run, you're in the Faraday cages, you're doing all this crazy stuff. How do you manage? I mean, how big is your team, I guess, first question, if you can share that. And how do you manage them all virtually, given that you're on the run, you're doing all this kind of stuff? How do you manage to keep those guys all together? Do you have one person you trust and let them do it? Or how do you, what's your strategy?
I do have one person that I trust explicitly, and that's me. And really, to be quite frank, no one else. Doesn't mean I distrust everybody, but in any case, I can't tell you the number of people I had, because that alone would now narrow down people who might be looking for me. Oh, so-and-so Corp has 26 employees.
Yep.
Okay. Or anyway, no, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you how we communicate, just like you and I are communicating. I am still, believe it or not, I have a few brain cells left, and some of those actually remember my computer science career, and I was one of the good ones. In my mind, I was, of course, the god.
The best.
But, discounting that, I'm at least good. My field is what? Computer security.
Right.
Can I possibly be in this field and be successful if I'm not at least as good as the people trying to break in to get information? So I got to be at least as good as them.
Yep.
And in my mind, my opponents, which is the CIA, FBI, whatever that morass of people all trying to silence me. Whatever they think they know nothing. I mean, I was consultant to all of those people in their most difficult times with the most difficult fucking problems. So when I set up a barrier behind which I don't want people looking at me or finding me, then I promise you, sir, you will not find me.
Yeah.
So using my own team, my own software, my own sometimes hardware, because I could not trust Chinese chips, I have a system and a location that was created quite a while ago, just in case shit like this came down.
Yep.
And it did. And so I am secure here. I'm communicating like normal. We have no telephones, or no real telephones.
Right.
I mean, we can't have a smartphone with us because obviously that's the quickest way. If we bought one, turned it on within a day, they would have us. We carry no electronics outside of our secure environment. But we do have facilities. I do have a telephone I can pick up, call you right now, and you could answer, and it'll have my phone number from 2 years ago, which was shut off by AT&T. And when the phone company goes to trace that, it will end up in some place in Iceland where I have never been, and I've actually never even been in the fucking country. So my barrier for me, is going to be at least as good as what I have tried to build for the general public and other individuals.
Boy, that is, I mean, that's got to be tough. I mean, the amount of time that you're whatever, you spend 5 hours a day working on a project. How much of your time is spent just defending yourself and trying to keep yourself, off of the grid or, non-detectable?
Well, it's not a daily task. I mean, trust me, they have penetrated my outer barriers, which I knew they would. Right. It took them far longer than I expected. And by the means that they penetrated it, we had to then shift our strategy and create another barrier further out. And those who came in were lost in our honeypots and are still there looking for shit. So, yeah, but that's only once every couple of months that anyone actually penetrates a level which forces us to have to make a change.
And when you go, like I saw you at a conference a week or two ago, are you concerned going into a country that the U.S. might have enough power to just grab you at that or that convince that country to grab you?
Absolutely. We timed everything. I mean, it was all a very scripted affair. The helicopter leaves at this time, and it was a surprise appearance.
I got you.
I was coming.
Gotcha.
That from the time I was recognized until the time I got off the stage, some half hour later, was not enough time for anybody.
For them to move,
to react, because the reaction could not come from Spain or would not come from Spain.
Yep.
Suddenly McAfee shows up in Spain. Well, McAfee's gone from Spain. And it's gone long before you guys could even organize a team to figure out, grab him as quick as we can. He's there now. I mean, I was gone before we even got the team together.
Well, that is one thing.
I missed them by hours, I promise you.
Well, that is one thing with the idea of this permeating idea in our society that government is actually good at something, that they're actually super terrible at stuff, like epic bad. And for them to get organized enough to actually take action would be almost impossible.
Well, I'll tell you what the government is good at, my friend, and this is
I'm waiting to hear it. I want to hear it.
This is to my sorrow, and that is surveillance.
Yeah.
There is not a place in this country, day or night, unless you're locked in your basement with the light on, we have any privacy.
Yeah.
The government, the CIA, FBI, the 14 covert agencies, military intelligence, NSA, the Secret Service, these people can, from a satellite permanently stationed overhead, they have optics enough to at least identify your car and follow it as it fucking moves while they're getting their near Earth orbit satellites focused on you, which is only a matter of 3 or 4 minutes difference. Then they can spot the tip of your nose and recognize you from that. This is the shit that they have, people.
Yep.
And if anybody would know this, it would be me. Would it not? I mean, if people in computer security do not know, then nobody knows.
Yep. Yep. So what are we to do, John? I mean, look, it's funny, with all this like Russian hacking of the Facebook and the election cycle and all this kind of ridiculousness. I personally believe you were the one who was posting those ads, getting people to vote the way they want them to vote. I mean, what do you think when they say that? I hear this stuff that they spent, a couple $100,000 on Facebook ads and this swayed the election. What's your feeling when they say stuff like that?
Who's they saying it? I'm sorry.
Well, when you see the media saying, when media is blasting out that you can spend a couple $100,000 on Facebook ads and that can sway an election. What do you think about that?
I listen. Here, can I be frank with you?
No.
Okay. No.
Yeah. No. Tell me the real shit, John.
I could care less, and here's why. This is how the fucking media and the government work. Let's get the people focused on the tiniest, most insignificant motherfucking thing.
Yep.
And make that a big thing so they won't see the reality.
Yeah.
They won't see the truth that it doesn't matter who sits in the Oval Office, people.
Yep.
Have you ever, with the change of a president, had a hair of your head wafted in the wind? Or have you ever, lost a wife, or someone stole your car, or you didn't have beer in the fridge? No, nothing ever changes in your life.
100%.
And when you get presidents who actually do try to do something that the CIA lets them do, doesn't matter. Obama spent an entire term building Obamacare and it was dismantled. Nothing changes. Nothing will change. And here's why. You are deluded into thinking that our government, as structured and supported by our Constitution, is still functioning. Meaning that we still have a president who has presidential powers. We still have a Congress that is able to act as a true representative body of the people.
Mm-hmm.
That we have a true judicial system that can adjudicate between those who create the laws and those who exercise or carry out the laws. That's the executive branch.
Right.
That's gone. I'm sorry. That's merely a play. I mean, it's still there, people. I mean, you can see the congressmen and we get involved in all of their misdoings and sexual misconduct and graft and bribery and all of this shit. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. 100%.
Because none of these people have any power.
Yep.
What happened in 1950 or before 1950, the creation of an innocuous body called the Central Intelligence Agency. We need information. I mean, more information we have, the better we're going to be. End of the World War II, and information helped us get through that war. So we created this innocuous little body, but put very clever people into it. Unfortunately, this is our mistake. If it's an innocuous little body, put some innocuous little people in. But no, put the best and the brightest. And they were and are patriots. I believe this in my heart.
Sure.
I don't think there's a single CIA employee, well, there may be a single, but in the rank and file of the CIA, and I know many of them personally, they're as patriotic as you fucking get.
Sure.
It
doesn't matter.
However, here's what changed. And Dwight Eisenhower warned us of this as, good God, people, you need to watch the CIA and the military-industrial complex.
Yep. But tell me this, though, John. My personal feeling is it goes beyond that, meaning further back and actually to the root core of government as a body. And that's worldwide. Any government you put into power, right? Even if people elected individuals electing their representatives, what ends up happening in all cases, it's like almost any large organization. What ends up happening is People become entrenched. People protect human nature. We protect our own interests, right?
Mhm.
So they begin working for themselves. And this is just the way all of them are. So isn't it more an idea of, rather than, oh, we need to root out the CIA or root out the FBI or something like this, more like, no, as a people, we need to just, it's like a tree growing. When the tree grows, you have to trim back its branches or it gets out of control. Like, isn't
That's
that
correct.
more about what our focus as people, as individuals in a society, should be focused on? Trimming governments, basically keeping them in check.
But we should be focused on all sorts of things, like you're not just trimming. Jesus, God, people, we don't need 1/10 of the government we have, and you know it.
100%.
You said, what do we need? We need people to break up fights. That's for sure.
That's
We
it.
need people to protect others from an imminent threat.
But John, what are we supposed to do? Like, the governments can't even when something becomes outdated and not needed, they can't even shut down things that they've created. Here in Costa Rica, they created an internet group, right? This internet group basically went out of business 5 years ago when they privatized the internet here, and you can get it through Movistar and a couple different, companies. But this organization still lives with 1,000 employees who literally do nothing. They don't have a job, but the government can't shut down this entity that they've created, because guess what? They're good jobs for those people. Those people have power, whatever. They can plug a friend into the head of the organization. What are we to do if we can't even do the simplest things to trim our government, to keep it in check? What are we supposed to do?
We're supposed to wake up to the truth, I think. I think what we're trying to do in the Libertarian Party is utter nonsense. We will never have a libertarian president, people. We have a two-party system. And a two-party system, the last, even remotely potential breakthrough, that was the Ross Perot.
Yeah.
And that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be president. We're not going to get much control within the political system. But my point is, please, people, let's look at the truth. Does it matter what our control within this political system is? Because please see the following truth. Those who hold the information or the military power are always the most powerful people in government.
Yep.
That's the way soldiers are trained. You obey orders. And if the general says the president and Congress have suddenly become all Russians, then arrest them. Okay, we're forming it. No, please, you know this. No, they don't do that. They don't do that because why? I mean, everybody's going to be upset. No, things are going fine. The president knows who the boss is, right? That used to be like that. And generals were always the most patriotic and constitutionally devout. That was perfect. But the power of the military ceased with the creation of the Central Intelligence Agency. And can I just explain for those of you who haven't bothered just to look behind the curtain how our government really works? The CIA, which by the way was my first customer at McAfee when I created my antivirus and computer security company. And I know people still, good friends. Do you know what word they use for presidents, congressmen, and senators? Transients.
Mm-hmm.
Transients. Why? I mean, in the CIA, you join up in your early 20s and you're there for life until you hit the grade, people. You don't quit. You might get whacked, but you don't quit.
Yep.
Lifetime. And you are patriotic and you are trying to do what is best in the nation's interest. And you spent 25 years understanding just the Middle East and its nuances and political histories and alliances, their culture and religion and all of this shit took you 20 years. And you're still not that very good. And your boss is better. And that's just one small part of the world. And we have some son of a bitch with an IQ of 4 coming in here with no knowledge whatsoever about how this world really works.
Yeah.
Who has been protected by the civil population. Never seen people tortured and eyes poked out. Never watched villages burn for whatever. No, you've been, other than on television, and then you feel like you experienced it, but no, you haven't. And so he's there for 4 years, maybe 8.
Probably 8. Mm-hmm.
Well, 8, but okay, 8.
Yeah.
8 years is not enough time to train that man, educate him
That's
on the
possible. Yeah.
truth of in this impossibly complex web
Right.
of this globe that we live on and its human communications and desires and greeds and plans and fuck me. So what do? Leave our entire thing intact, let it process. And they don't even have to change anything. And suddenly they become, at least now, the political leader of America. And how does that work? Because the CIA owns all the information. And if you people are naive enough to think that a president, just because he has a top secret clearance, can go, I want to know if they're aliens, that's laughable. Because what's going to come back is, Mr. President, I'm very sorry to tell you, but in the interest of national security, you, sir, do not have a need to know. The president has no recourse, none, because the CIA has been given this power to not give information to whoever it chooses because it has the ultimate veto. You don't have a need to know. So, let me give you a good example. Then they give good information, and sometimes they just make shit up if it's convenient. Prior to the Second Gulf War, the CIA was concerned about the rise of Iraqi power in the region. And it was not in the CIA's interest at that time for that to happen. They had a few choices. But let's whack him. Wouldn't matter. The political situation was such that he would have been replaced immediately, and even angrier people. So they sat down and said, what do we do? Well, let's bomb them into obscurity. And people go, I don't know, is that the right thing? This is in the CIA now. I mean, seriously, that's a big step from there. Well, the implication, but someone finally goes, all right, I've made a decision. We're going to bomb Iraq into the Stone Age. Joe, Frank, Smith, take care of it. Now, how do they take care of it? Mr. President, I regret to tell you this, and I wish that we were not as certain as we are of its validity.
I wish we weren't as certain.
But it is clear now that Iraq has both
WMDs,
missiles capable of delivering weapons to England, and sir, I regret to say, Iraqi has nuclear weapons. Now, Mr. President, our job is not to advise you, and I cannot. I can only say, sir, that I'm glad that the decision that faces you now is on your shoulders and not on mine. And then after that, what choice does the president have? God damn it, Iraq, the most fearful thing at that time for America, it's got nuclear weapons, bomb the shit out of them. That's what happened. Now, did they have nuclear weapons? Of course not. We knew it. The American people knew it. Certainly every foreign country in the world knew it. The only people who believed it were the president and Congress. Who go, no, there are weapons there because the CIA told us so.
Tell me this, Joe. Do you think that could still happen today? Where?
What?
Hold on now. Hold on, man. Don't go crazy. That's my question, man. I know. Yeah, maybe. He's gonna die here on air, dude. This is gonna be the best podcast ever. Understood that happened.
My apologies. You're right. I did not let you finish
the beauty, the one thing, my current worldview is that we are living in a magical time right now. In that the average people, you, I, everybody else, has a voice. These voices are controlled by the social media platforms we are on. However, the number of people who can actually speak out is infinitely greater than in 1992, right?
Yes.
And so the New York Times couldn't control the narrative back then, right? They're still trying, but they can't anymore, right? They're too many, which I think it's the most fantastic thing in the world right now. I mean, for me.
So do I. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Let's have one more little question. I'm sorry.
How's crypto going to help us put an end to this?
Well, that's why I'm in hiding. I mean, I haven't paid taxes in 10 years. I send the IRS a note saying, I'm not filing taxes this year. You know where I live. For 8 years, they paid me no mind. I've paid over $15 million in taxes, and I have not received $50 million in services, but I'm not complaining about that part. No, no. Taxation is illegal. It's unconstitutional, folks. And it puts us into the feudal age. The feudal age, because what happened? You owe the king 20% of your labor. If the king came and said, you're going to work for me for 2 months, come on. For no
60%
pay.
if you live in California, John.
No, I'm talking about feudal times, my friends. You owed the king 20% of your labor or 20% of the fruits of your labor, and you collect once a year at any time that he chose. Now, that was 1,000 years ago, people, and can you imagine the horror of somebody coming to you and you and you? This year, you're going to be working for me from May to July, and
Yep.
but sir, I'm barely surviving. No, we're in that situation, people. It's just the
100%.
king has been replaced by the IRS. Now,
Yep.
I refuse to pay. I'm sorry. I refuse to pay for that period of time. They paid me no mind. I mean, I've already paid them $50 million. Leave me the fuck alone. But it didn't bother me. When I started speaking on the national stage about how cryptocurrency, especially privacy coins and distributed exchanges, could free those of us who simply don't want to pay taxes and don't want to bother having to write them a note every year going, I'm not paying you. Use a privacy coin. Buy and sell everything using privacy coins. Good ones like Monero that can't be traced back, not with our current technology of trying to crack into things. So that was the beginning of the end for me. I'm in a Faraday cage, communicating. Now, outside of this little cage, where if we're not carrying any phones with us, which we never do, we don't even own them anymore, is a beautiful world.
Yep.
But I can only talk from here. And I have to be here in order to continue talking, because if I'm not safe in a place that I cannot be found, then I can't talk to you, because they will sign. They don't want my money. I got nothing to give them for the taxes, and they damn well know it. They simply want to silence me, to shut me up. And I will not, because I will continue saying, don't want to pay taxes, use privacy coins and buy and sell everything in crypto, and the government will never find out if you have even half a brain, people. And you go, well, that's illegal? I don't think so. I don't think so. If you don't file a tax return, it's not illegal.
Yep.
Even though I've been charged somehow not having filed a return for 10 years with tax fraud. How can a person commit tax fraud?
Well, when they want
You
you,
have not,
they can do whatever they want, right? I mean, at the end of the
I
day,
don't
that when
know,
they
you know,
when you
I
are on their radar, you're done, right? I mean, that's the way it works.
that is true. You know, my lawyers kept telling me that. The law is clear. I mean, you know, not filing a tax return, you're fine. If you do file one and lie, now you're in some big shit. Well, I haven't filed one in 10 years, and how can I be in any shit? And yet I am. So use cryptocurrency. Don't use it as a fucking trading platform to make money. Use it to free yourself from your financial prison. And you don't free yourself from financial prison by making more money. You free yourself by controlling the source of money. Do you see?
I see it,
Because,
dude. I honestly, man, you are, and obviously this is why you are famous on Twitter. You're a visionary, man. I mean, I think we're maybe a decade, 2 decades away from this being simple enough for the average user to use comfortably. People are scared about it now. They're scared. They like trusted third parties to give them their money back if they're stupid enough to lose their money. They want that, right? But when the people working on the issues get to that point where I can feel secure with it, I think it actually works. And I don't know. One last question. How long do you think we are away from that? How many years away you think we're away from it? For the average mom and pop who doesn't know much about tech, being able to do this and feel secure that their money is secure. How many years away you think we are from that?
5 years.
All right. There we go. I'll leave it there, John. Man.
All right.
Love you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.